Welcome to the offseason edition of X's and Omar. Did you miss us? Did you miss us?
I missed you, Omar.
I did miss you. Elbow bump
Elbow
for
bump.
coronavirus
Safety first.
precautions, people. We will be talking about free agency. We will also be dabbling a little bit in the draft. A lot of people want me to confront you, Dave, because they don't feel you feel the two of love. I am your host, Omar Kelly, Sun Sentinel columnist. This is Dave Hyde, Sun Sentinel columnist. And you are thirsty Dolphin fans who are ready to spend $100 million in cap space and use 14 draft picks. It actually became $100 million in cap space.
Can they do that? Can they spend $100 million in 14? We'll have to answer that too.
That'll be interesting. But the Dolphins are going to, according to ESPN reports, and we are working to confirm that at Sun Sentinel, Dolphins are going to release Pro Bowl safety Rashad Jones. Probably, according to Dave Hyde, one of the most predictable moves this offseason.
Obvious. They should have done it last year.
Right now, here's the problem with the releasing of Rashad Jones. It eats up $4 million in cap space because he has $4 million guaranteed, but it does create $5.4 million in cap space. And really, you got to 100. I know you feel like Rashad doesn't necessarily fit into the Brian Flores culture.
How did he last year? September, I'm hurt. I'm done. Look, Rashad, his career, great career, Dolphin career. Okay, let's not diminish that. But the story that goes along with it is that he was awarded, and good for him. I'm all for players making money. It was the dumbest contract I've seen in my Dolphin time. In that, a safety.
Wow, you've seen a lot of dumb contracts. You've seen a lot of dumb contracts. I'm sure. Beats Jabril Wilson?
An aging safety.
Oh, come on, Dave.
An aging safety.
Jake Grove?
With a shoulder surgery, they gave a long, big contract. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I'm not going to argue with you about the contract. What I will say is I will give Rashad an applause because during my now going on 12 seasons covering the Dolphins, Rashad has been the best businessman.
Well, that goes along with
yeah.
the
Rashad has been the best businessman. He's
Absolutely.
gotten 2 mega contracts from the Dolphins. In his contract, there have been $4 million guaranteed each year. So even if you cut me, you're still going to pay me. And his deals have been brilliant. And he has maximized the amount of money that he's made. But also, don't disrespect the production, because I will argue to you that Rashad Jones has been a Ring of Honor level player for the Dolphins, arguably the most accomplished safety in franchise history.
Whoa. We got Jake Scott and Dick Anderson.
I'm sorry.
They were far above what Rashad Jones.
Because their
Rashad Jones had a
teams were
nice
winning.
career.
Because their teams were
because they
winning.
were great players. They were great players. They were constant Pro Bowl. For 5 years, they set the standard in the NFL how safeties play. So, I mean, that's going back a long time. If you want to say in your lifetime, I'd agree with you.
Dick Scott is never, he had an issue. He confronted me because he's like, you don't know how great I am.
I mean, Dick Anderson.
Dick Anderson. You don't know how great I am.
Yeah.
And it was
Well,
a
you
very,
don't.
it
You're
was a
proving
very,
you don't.
It was a very uncomfortable conversation. I had to explain to him I wasn't alive when you were playing.
Right.
But, you know, hey.
A great career by Rashad Jones. We'd all agree with that.
Ring of Honor?
Come
on, Dave.
They're going to have to put somebody in. Somebody's got to go in.
Cam Wake goes in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
And who's had a better career than Rashad Jones since
Well,
the Jason Taylor's
here's
that
the question:
contract?
is what's your standard for the Ring of Honor? And that's a different conversation. They don't have a lot of candidates in the last 10 years. Let's go with that.
But plenty of changes have happened to the Miami Dolphins, not just the release of Rashad Jones. This team and the NFL landscape is changing. First, let's address some of the changes that have happened to the Miami Dolphins this offseason. Head coach Brian Flores has either been forced to or chosen to change 11 assistants on his coaching staff, and that includes his offensive and defensive coordinator. We've got Chan Gailey replacing Chad O'Shea, who was fired as the offensive coordinator. Josh Boyer replacing Patrick Graham, who chose to leave and go join with the New York Giants.
Two big surprises, both of them.
And also, more importantly, Carl Durrell, congratulations to him, becomes the new head coach of the University of Colorado. And that leaves a need at receiver coach, which the Dolphins filled yesterday by promoting an assistant, Gizzard. Gailey, who is notoriously known for wanting more athletic quarterbacks, do you think that that is going to force Miami's hand? How much influence? Both the GM said and the head coach said he will have a lot of influence in the quarterback that we select.
I hope so. You bring in an offensive coordinator, you want him to be comfortable with the quarterback. So I don't know force the hand, but it's going to influence. Here's the type of, and I talked to Dave Wannstedt about this, who Gailey was his offensive coordinator for a couple years, and he said this would take Justin Herbert out of the equation in his mind, in that he's more of a drop back. Now, you saw the one game they allowed him to run in the Rose Bowl, and he did run, and he looked athletic.
Yes, he's athletic, but here's the issue with, since we're going to talk about Justin Herbert, his accuracy is his main issue. When is his accuracy off? When his footwork is off. When he hasn't planted, set, and thrown. I don't want a quarterback who has footwork issues on the move. That means his accuracy is going to be all over the place. We're talking about a new Jared Allen. Not is it Josh Allen?
Josh Allen.
Yeah, we're talking about a new Josh Allen. Great arm, love the talent, but I don't want a quarterback with accuracy issues and then say, "Hey, I want to put you on the move." Just doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't add up.
We're going to have a lot of time to talk about these quarterbacks, Omar.
Definitely, but here, let's get to our first question, which comes from Diedrich. From what we're hearing about the new hires, has the staff been upgraded or downgraded?
See, to me, I don't think that's the question. The question is, what are they trying to do? And if you look at the theme to these hires, to me, was we're going to get teachers. We're going to get younger and guys from college and even a high school guy who teach young players.
That's cute.
And you get, so now you're going to have a very young roster. You're bringing in 14 rookies. Well, you're not going to bring. You're not going to have 14 draft picks, I wouldn't think. You have them. You're going to trade some. But the point was, the point was, you're going to have a lot of young players, and now you have a young coaching staff that I assume, and we're going to have to learn these players or learn these coaches is. They're teachers, and as opposed to older set in their ways. Here's how it's done in the NFL types.
Every coach, every assistant is a teacher. I don't like that.
I think younger. What I'm saying is younger teachers, though.
Relatable, more relatable.
I'm guessing.
Is that what you want?
That's the theme.
Changaili, young and not necessarily relatable, but that he does have teaching experience going back to his Georgia Tech days. I think that this is an upgrade from this standpoint. You know, I was not a Patrick Graham fan. I thought this defense was horrible last year. Horrible, worse than the offense. So I'm glad to see him leave. Best of luck to him with the New York Giants. But Changaili is a proven, established play caller. What Brian Flores has always liked about him is that he has adjustments and counters to whatever you throw at him. Brian Flores would know firsthand because Changaili spent most of his career in the AFC East. It's going to be interesting to see how he relates to this generation of players, because I can tell you, this generation of players is different from last generation of players. They are very soft. I don't know how else to say it.
You're getting old, Omar. You're sounding like an old. That's where I get the okay.
They don't like
boomer.
hard coaching. They don't like or are comfortable with hard coaching.
Well, they're not used to hard practices in the NFL either.
That's true.
So
We have gone a
to me,
decade.
that's the hard thing. You have a very young team that doesn't practice much. In football, how do you get better? It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder. So, but I'm shocked by the two coordinators leaving for different reasons.
Team was very impressive for 5-11 with a roster full of scraps, but it was not a good team. Was not a well-coached team.
Well, then what do you say about Brian Flores? The idea is, look, you win in the NFL by having consistency in your systems and finding players in those systems.
Yeah.
Now the systems change. Well, maybe not defensively, because that's Brian Flores.
The offensive system needed to change.
But Brian Flores came in and said, "Here's my coaching staff," and now he's changed everything his second year.
Was the coaching staff good though? Chad O'Shea was in way over his head.
That was his hires, though. So the point is,
you make a mistake, isn't it important to acknowledge it?
I was going to say it's very good that he changed, but let's not frame this. It's not so good that he didn't hire a good staff to begin with, right?
I hear where you're coming from, but young, green, experienced rookie coaches throughout my course of being here, they don't hire good staffs unless they have a Bill Parcells backing them that brings a ready-made staff. They just aren't good at hiring good staffs.
Well, let's face it, there hadn't been a good 20 years of the Dolphins. So, I mean, you can say that now you go elsewhere. Sean McVay, he hired a good staff. You can go down, let Frank Reich, he hired a good staff. You can find good coaches.
It's always easy to be a good staff when you got a good quarterback.
Right.
Our next question comes from Jason. I believe Jalen Hurts could be this year's Dak Prescott. Would you be opposed to the Dolphins trading back from pick 5 in the first round and taking Hurts in the later round?
Yes. I'd be very opposed to that. Let's get that on the record. Now,
Dave says no.
Now, are you saying should they take a second quarterback and maybe if Jalen Hurts falls and a scenario, you could whip up a scenario? Yes. But if you're saying, boy, we're going to go out and try to find the next Dak Prescott with Jalen Hurts in the second round. Yes, I'm very opposed to that.
I like certain aspects of Jalen Hurts. I like the athleticism. I like the fact that he's been a winner wherever he's gone. I like that he's very coachable. I like that he's a good leader. What I don't like is his arm. I went to the Senior Bowl primarily, specifically look at all the quarterbacks, and his arm just barely crosses the threshold of what I like. My major metric for a quarterback is, can you throw a 15-yard out on a rope with zip that can hit his receivers here? Jalen Hurts' 15-yard out drops. It hits his receiver there. And that makes me uncomfortable. I'm not saying that he doesn't have an NFL arm. I'm not saying that he can't make every throw. Can he be a winner? He could very well end up and be the Dak Prescott of this draft. But I agree with you. I don't want to build a draft on a guy that every draft pick is a crapshoot. I don't want to take a crapshoot of a crapshoot. Would I like him on the Dolphins? Absolutely, because he fits the mold of the quarterback that Changeli's looking for. He's always won with these underachievers. Look at Ryan Tannehill.
He hasn't won.
Okay. He's always done okay with these.
He's done okay.
He's won. You're talking big.
Isn't that the idea?
10 wins. Hey, my standards have lowered quite drastically, Dave.
All right. David wants to put us on the spot with the next question. If Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa are both available, who does GM Omar and GM Hyde pick?
Love is
Do
love,
the smart
Dave.
thing, Omar.
Love is love,
Do
Dave.
this. Your career's writing it.
Love is love, Dave. Both of them have that it intangible, that it moxie. The smart thing would be to select the quarterback who is healthier. I'm going to go with what my heart says.
So you're going to do the dumb thing. You said the smart thing is to do this, so you're doing the dumb thing.
There's a magic about Tua. He's special. His presence, there's an aura about him. It's like he glows.
Omar, come on, man.
No.
Omar.
I'm telling you, Dave. There's something special about it.
His face is flushing.
I watched yesterday former GM of the Houston Texans. He's now on ESPN.
Charlie Castro.
No, not that one. Another one that's on ESPN.
How many? Rick Smith?
Rick Smith, yes. I watched Rick Smith talk about why he went all in yesterday for Deshaun Watson. And why Deshaun Watson, wait, hold on, hear me out. And why Deshaun Watson was the #1 quarterback on his board at the time when Patrick Mahomes and Mitch
he was
Trubisky.
Wrong, but go ahead.
Okay. What I've learned is there are players who raise the tide. They make everybody around them better. They make everybody rallies around them. Everybody likes them. And weirdly, Ryan Fitzpatrick is that player. He has that persona. Chad Henne is that player. Chad Pennington. Yeah, not him. Definitely not Henne. My bad.
We know where you were going.
Yeah. I have craved and coveted that player, even though the two, Chad Pennington was old, he didn't have the arm. Ryan Fitzpatrick is old, he really doesn't have the arm. I want a young player that brings that presence, that has the arm. And yeah, I realize I'll probably lose 2 seasons to injury with Tua.
You might lose a career. You might lose your job if you take him.
I still will take
over Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, you talking about all those intangibles, Joe Burrow has them. He beat more top 10 teams in 1 year with LSU than Tua beat in his career. He's healthy.
He's magic. I like him.
Okay, well, if this is a scenario, it's a no-brainer. You take the sure thing. The guy who
is he a sure thing?
Well, he's as sure as an NFL pick is this year. Okay,
1 year wonder, Dave. 1 year wonder. Let me ask you this question, and this gets to the whole debate. Would you right now offer the Cincinnati Bengals all 3 of your first-round picks to get Joe Burrow?
Yes, I would. Yep. You know, and let's back up a little. If going into this draft, you were said, will you trade Laramie Tunsil, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and your number 1 pick for a potential franchise quarterback that you love, assuming they love him, would you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, well then why wouldn't you trade the first 3 picks? Because you still have extra picks from those 2 guys.
Yeah, you may.
So I mean, yes, I would.
I wrote a column this Sunday, and just looking over the course of the history. Unfortunately, I've actually been covering it, so I've endured it, which I can't say every executive outside of Chris Greer has endured. The Dolphins have
survived.
Yeah, that's a good one. He survived. The Dolphins have been scared and passive when it comes to addressing the quarterback position.
Yeah. That's like every year I'm writing a column, and I was looking back into the columns I've written about, and 1 year I wrote, this is my annual column, draft a quarterback.
Get a
Take
conviction.
a quarterback.
No, it's not about taking a quarterback because they took a quarterback
It's
when they
about,
took
right, you're
Ryan
right,
Tannehill.
you are right.
But they could have been bold and aggressive, but they were passive. And they just let it come to them. And I have my major fear about this draft is they're going to do the same thing. And they will more than likely have to move up to get Tua. And if you're okay with saying, hey, I'm going to chance my career on a Jordan Love or a Justin Herbert because I don't want to be I don't want to be aggressive.
Well, the question is, do you think Tua is going to be healthy? He hasn't, going back to high school.
No.
He has not had a healthy season.
But I will make this argument to you. Okay.
He's going to get healthier?
No. He's not going to get healthier. But if I have him for 10 years and I lose 2 to injury, what's different than that than what every other team has really had to endure, except with a few exceptions?
New England had Tom Brady for 20 years, and they lost him 1 year. I mean, there's a
lot.
lot.
But you're talking about the exception. Dak Prescott is the exception. Russell Wilson is the exception. The Philadelphia Eagles, they've lost their quarterback for 2 years.
And you know
Miami
why?
lost their quarterback for 2 years.
Wait a second, back up. Carson Wentz was injured a couple times in college. They knew when they took him, here's a guy who's hurt. Would you take Carson Wentz?
Yeah, I would.
You would?
I would.
Knowing that you better get a very good backup.
He was my number 1 quarterback in that draft. I believe.
No, would you take him now? Do you think it was a good pick?
Yeah, I would.
They've lost, 2 out of 5 years to injury? That's a good pick?
It happens.
It doesn't happen.
Ryan Tannehill was the
It
most.
doesn't happen, Omar.
No, it does. Ryan Tannehill was the most durable quarterback until he wasn't.
Well, he was getting pounded.
Which gets to my next point. Build the quarterback a brick wall.
All right. Well, we touched on some of the draft's high-profile quarterbacks, but we need to discuss the changing landscape of the NFL quarterbacks. Tom Brady, who's led the Patriots to 6 championships, we know, we lived them, is an unrestricted free agent and intends to play at least 2 more seasons. So he says, where he'll be playing is yet to be determined because it appears Bill Belichick is ready to embark on a rebuild, which might not include the 42-year-old Brady. Brady will reportedly be pursued by a half-dozen teams. We know the list: the Chargers, the Giants, the Raiders, maybe
Giants?
the Titans. They're mentioned in there.
I haven't heard the Titans. Tampa Bay.
It's
Titans, which makes sense with Mike Grable. And he's seeking a contract, $25 to $30 million guaranteed.
All right, Omar, what team do you think is the best fit for Brady?
I'm going to go with Tennessee because if you look at what Tom Brady's looking for, according to Steve Ross and Brian Flores, he's looking for an quarterback instant title contender. And to me, that's a very short list of
teams. According to everybody, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would be interested in ownership stakes, but that's a whole.
That's not allowed by the NFL. It's not allowed.
Wink, Dave. It's not allowed.
It's against NFL rules.
Wink.
No, wink. You'd have to change the rules.
No, you can
How
have
could
a
one?
you can have a wink deal agreement.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
You'd have to get 31 other owners. Or enough to more to change the rules.
I get Brady $60 million, and I say I'll let you buy a 5% stake in the team once you're done playing. you bring me a championship.
And again,
Wink,
Omar,
wink.
that goes against all NFL rules. And that
You
would
act
come
like
out.
owners and billionaires don't break the rules.
Well, owners and billionaires get fined, and you can't imagine the fine that would come out of that one, because 31 other owners would want to set a precedent with that.
Peyton Manning will be an owner of a team. There have been.
Okay, but he'll buy a team. He'll do the Derek Jeter thing, where you assemble a syndicate, right?
I guess so. I don't know.
Okay, to me, the most comfortable place for Tom Brady, let's not overthink this, is New England. That is the most comfortable thing. He is the offense. He knows the whole system.
Mm-hmm.
That by far is the most, and I hope he goes there. I think it'd be a sad thing for him to go out.
Joe
elsewhere.
Montana left and went
Yeah,
to
and
Kansas
he
City.
did. And he said that was a mistake. He said he wishes he had finished his career in San Francisco.
But he wouldn't have finished his career in San Francisco. Steve Young was there.
That's right. But New England doesn't have a Steve Young.
It'll be interesting. I think I don't underestimate the battle of egos. And
I agree.
Bill Belichick wants to prove I can lead a winning team without Tom Brady. Tom Brady does not make me.
You know what? I remember talking to Pat Riley when the Chicago Bulls, Jordan and Pippen they were talking to crumbling and breaking up, and Pat Riley said something that's always stuck with me. He goes, "You ride those dynasties to the end. You do not break them up. They break up of natural causes because you don't get a chance at that again." And Tom Brady will find out if he goes to another team. I'm sure he might win some. He might be fun. Like Montana went to the playoffs with Kansas City. There was nothing like the same as when he was in San Francisco.
I think the Titans are a good fit for him, and also the Chargers.
To me, Tampa Bay is the best fit.
Tampa Bay is a great fit.
Tampa has the best playmakers
Playmakers.
out there as far as receiving core. They have a very underrated defense at the end of
They have an
last
underrated
half of
offensive
last year.
line.
The front seven was very good on defense.
Underrated offensive line, 2 good tight ends.
To me,
you might be right.
That's a great fit.
State Texas. His wife might actually like the environment. I love Bruce Arians. Everybody who knows me knows.
It's great. Everybody loves Bruce Arians.
Who doesn't? If
Right.
you don't like, it's like Chris Perkins. If you have a problem with Chris Perkins, something's wrong with you. If you have a problem with Bruce Arians, something's wrong with you. I think Tampa Bay is a good fit for him.
Okay. A ton of quarterbacks are going to move this season. Let's roll the roulette wheel and predict where they all go, Omar. Who are we going to start with?
Phillip Rivers. Let's start with Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
The connection with the head coach, Frank Reich of Indiana, makes a lot of sense. I think wherever Tom Brady doesn't go, I think their next call will be to Phillip Rivers. So I think Phillip Rivers in Tampa makes a lot of sense. But I think he's going to end up in Indianapolis because
go ahead.
they are very close. They've got $100 million in cap space with the just like the Miami Dolphins. They're very close. Let's play next one. Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, wait a second. I don't think he's going to end up
okay,
there.
go where.
I think he's going to end up in Tampa Bay. He's moved to the Panhandle, and Arians and him have similar fun personalities.
They do.
Okay,
They do. That does make a lot of sense.
I think, as far as Indianapolis,
You got 2 quarterbacks going to Tampa.
Who's Frank Reich? Well, I think Brady's going to go back to New England.
Okay.
But I think Frank Reich is a great fit for Nick Foles, who's got to get out of Jacksonville, and Jacksonville wants him out of there.
They want to get out.
They want a Super Bowl together in Philadelphia. That would be a natural fit for me.
All right, Teddy Bridgewater. This is a good one because I'm a Teddy Bridgewater fan. And I'm very curious. I want somebody to give him a legitimate opportunity. I would have loved it for it to be the Miami Dolphins.
Absolutely.
It will not. It will not. No. But I think Tampa's a good fit for him. I think right now you put him in a situation where he's got that weaponry around him. I think that he can win. I think he can lead them. Now we've got 3 quarterbacks headed to Tampa.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say Carolina with Teddy Bridgewater for a similar reason as you have Tampa. I mean, it's a team starting out on some level, and why not bring in a Teddy Bridgewater who seems like a good fit for what Rule's trying to do in Carolina?
Yeah, but he already turned down the rebuild in Miami? Why would he want to be part of a rebuild in Carolina? Because
it's not going to be a disastrous rebuild in Carolina. You do have weapons. You have Christian McCaffrey there. You have other talent there, as opposed to what the Dolphins were doing last year.
Yeah, no. Hey, Carolina, it's funny that you mentioned Carolina because Cam Newton is on the final year of his deal. He's coming off a foot injury. He's actually coming on. More concerning to me is the shoulder because I watched him in the first couple of games, and he was pushing the ball. There was no arm there, and that was coming off of shoulder surgery. Where do you think Cam Newton plays? He put out that video talking about all I want is a commitment.
You know what? He is the perfect Raider. He goes to the Raiders. He goes to Vegas. They're rolling the dice. That is a perfect fit. Him and Gruden. I can see that working.
Wait a minute. Then where does Derek Carr end up?
Yeah, he goes out. He goes to Cincinnati in my book.
Cincinnati?
Yeah.
No, but Cincinnati.
Excuse me. Where does he go in my?
We didn't have Derek Carr.
Yeah, we didn't have Derek Carr, but he pops free.
If he pops free,
I don't want him with the Dolphins.
Why? What's wrong with Derek Carr?
He's Ryan Tannehill 2.0, same idea.
Damn.
Of course, Ryan Tannehill just led the league.
Hey, what do we know? Jameis Winston. I'm going to go with the Patriots. And here's why. Here's why. I think Bill Belichick wants the opportunity to prove to people, yeah, I have had the GOAT, but I made the GOAT. I am that dude. I am the legend. I should be going down as the #1 coach ever of all time.
He is going down.
It's still debatable.
It's not debatable.
It's still debatable, and I think he wants to cement that. His son is going to be the defensive coordinator. And he's going to show you. I'm going to take a broken quarterback and I'm going to fix it.
If he wins with Jameis Winston, it's for all time, no question.
That's
300 years out.
I think that's what he wants.
But this is the exact quarterback he doesn't want. A guy who threw 30 interceptions. He does not want anything to do with that.
He can fix him.
Oh, he doesn't. He knows. He's smart enough to know, do not try it. Do not try that.
All right, Ryan Tannehill, where does he end up?
I think he stays right where he is. Both of them understand it's a good fit. Why mess with something that worked?
Because teams are going to catch up to it and figure it out. And you can't go seasons where you're throwing 90 yards of passing offense a game.
Well, when he needed to,
he threw. There's nothing.
Well,
Let me. There's nothing wrong with Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill
There's nothing wrong with Ryan Tannehill. There's just nothing special about Ryan Tannehill.
He's good enough if everybody around him's good enough. And they were last year, so I think that's a great fit.
Andy Dalton, we did have Derek Carr on this list. Andy Dalton.
Chicago, perfect fit because Bill Lazor is
there
now,
as the offensive coordinator.
They have a pass connection. So, and Chicago needs to do something to, if Trubisky, they need a Tennessee situation where they had Mariota last year, but they brought in Tannehill, and this would be similar to that.
Absolutely, I agree, but I wait for the Cincinnati Bengals to cut him. Because I'm not paying him $20 million a year. I mean, even though the Dolphins traded Ryan Tannehill and then restructured him. So, I
don't see Mike Brown paying a big clump of that $20 million like the way Steve Ross did of Ryan Tannehill.
John Flora wants to know, will the Dolphins consider free agents over 30, or is this a total youth movement?
Well, when you ask that question, you're talking big investments over 30. And there's only one guy who I would consider making a big investment over.
Who is that?
Trent Williams. And he's not a free agent, but he's a elite left tackle.
Was an elite left tackle until he was forced to sit out last season.
I'm assuming he still is. I mean, that you'd have to work him out and all that.
Huge assumption.
Well, 1 year, we'll see. But if he's passes your physical and everything else, he can play for 4 or 5 years at a high level. So he'd be the one. But if you're talking investing in guys over 30, as far as money, no, I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah, this to me, it was informed to me at the Senior Bowl that this is going to be a total youth movement. Steve Ross doesn't necessarily need to win right now. What he needs and wants to do is build a power, build an organization that can grow together. And a 30-year-old, even though I do think they need leadership, that's important. I'm a firm believer that leadership is important, and you can't be led.
They need players more than leadership, Omar.
Yeah, you make a very good point there. But you have to have somebody to lead the way, and Trent Williams is a good name that I didn't think about. I just don't think I don't believe in, and I've learned this from the Bill Parcells era. I don't believe you give up draft picks and a big mega contract. You don't give up 2 resources, you give up 1. So I'd be interested to see if Trent Williams is there for a 3rd round pick, okay, come on down, but you got to give him a new contract. I would probably wait this out and see how it plays out, maybe to the season if he's still there in Washington. Plus, He's a left tackle. If we get a certain quarterback that I want, we need a strong right tackle.
Well, you need both in today's game.
Yeah, you
right?
do.
I mean, you need both. Okay, our next question comes from Rob Cullen. Any thoughts on P.J. Walker, QB for the Houston team in the XFL? Wouldn't cost us a draft pick and seems to be playing well. Is he worth a shot?
Absolutely. If you look at what the Dolphins did last year with what was the league that started up last year?
AAF or whatever.
They signed 8 players from that league.
And none of them made it.
None of them made it. But yeah, none of them made it.
On the worst roster in the NFL, none of them made it.
Yeah.
So,
but P.J. Walker has some talent. I think he needs some coaching. He's the athletic style of quarterback that Chan Gailey covets and sort of gravitates to. I don't see any reason why you don't offer him an opportunity to be here and compete with Josh Rosen for the number 3 quarterback spot. There's no reason in my mind, because there's nothing special about Josh Rosen. This kid's already showing you that he's winning on this level.
I'm with you. Keep bringing him in until you get one.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, the GM of the Houston team, which is winning the XFL, I guess right now, Randy Mueller, former Dolphin GM, going back years.
Interesting.
So
Look at that.
How about that? Steve Prince wants to know, would you rather wait to draft Jalen Hurts in the second round and build in the trenches in the first round? What's with the Jalen Hurts love?
I don't know. I just take the questions that are coming my way. Jalen Hurts has had a strong media week. I was Bucky Brooks endorsed him.
I mean, I like Jalen Hurts, but let's not go
I'm
overboard
intrigued.
there.
Yeah, but there's to me, I understand where the line of thinking is coming from. And I'm going to say this, and Saf has chastised me, and I'm sure you will chastise me. Don't force a quarterback. Don't force it just because you want it. If the player that you want at 5 is not there.
If there's anybody who hasn't forced a quarterback, it's Chris Greer. Right? How many? Nope, not this year. Nope, not this year. Nope, not this year. Nope, not this year. I mean, come on, Omar. At some point, you gotta fall in love with a quarterback.
My theory, Dave.
Do your job. Fall in love with a quarterback and take him.
You cannot force love. Maybe Chris Greer wants to be a lifetime bachelor out there, Dave. If at 5 you value the Alabama offensive lineman Jedrick Wills, who I think is a top 5 talent in this draft, junior, or Iowa's Tristan Wirfs, or Louisville's McCann Buton, or Georgia's Andrew Thomas, I'm sorry. I am not scared.
You're taking one of them.
I am taking them.
Let's get the camera back here after the photo's done, because I'm going to show you my
reaction. You
reaction.
don't like photos of 300-pound men?
I'm going to show you my reaction. If they, all last year, they did that for some tackle from whatever, Boise State,
hey.
I'll be doing this.
Listen, here's the problem that we have. I don't think Justin Herbert, I'm not selecting him at 5. I'm not selecting Jordan Love at 5. He probably will have to be selected at 5 because I think he's going to be the 3rd quarterback, and I think teams are going to move up.
I agree. Jordan Love, I was told before the combine, before all this, he's going to be a top 10 quarterback by scouts. So, and a lot of this, just so everybody understands, when this guy's moving up the combine. No, he's not moving up.
No.
It's just the information of the media is catching up to what the pros think.
This is what happens. The people who legitimately make the decision, they're too busy to be scouring through college film of these players. So the people who legitimately make the decision, once they do start scouring through the film and watching Jordan Love's all 12 of his junior season game and then all 12 of his his sophomore season game and his junior season game, then they're the real evaluators who actually make the decision. They're like, oh crap, this is a lot of talent here. Like, it's rough, it's refined, it's unrefined, it needs to be polished up. But I like his arm is legit, quick release, throws off different arm angles.
He will make 3 plays a game that you go, wow.
Yeah.
Now this year he also made. Now the question was coaching. And the other thing, that's the thing with Herbert. There's a lot of people saying he got bad coaching in college. It was a bad system for him. So
Herbert?
Yes.
Herbert. You out here destroying Mario Cristobal's name?
I'm not destroying. I'm just telling you. footwork. And the things I heard.
Mario Cristobal is not a quarterback coach. Like, I love Mario. He's not a quarterback coach. So maybe there is some coaching up that you can do with Justin Herbert.
Well, at the Senior Bowl, he got some pro coaching, and all of a sudden everybody's saying, nice footwork.
No, yeah, because
I don't know.
No. You know who's coaching him? John Beck.
I know John Beck.
yeah, you know. I know John Beck, too. That's who's working with Herbert to the fundamentals and mechanics. Okay, great. Does that entice you? Yeah, you can coach it up for a week of practice.
It's not my job to rate all these quarterbacks. It's the Dolphins' job 1 year.
You just want them to find one they
find
love.
the right one and take them. Or find the right two.
Take the one you love. Not like, not interested in, not want to develop, not have a crush on. The one you love. It makes it a lot easier.
Omar just wants you to take two and be done with it.
If you love Justin Herbert, if you love Justin Herbert, go for it. If you love Joe Burrow, throw the whole draft in. I don't care. Just get it right. I don't care. Like, why not a Ricky Williams trade? Who cares?
How'd that work out?
This is not very good. But
that's why you don't do it.
But that's for a running back.
But 3 number ones? Absolutely.
Okay, if I told you right now, Russell Wilson is on the market, it's going to take your whole draft. You doing the deal? I know you have.
What do you mean?
14 draft picks, Russell Wilson.
For is him from Seattle?
Yeah. You doing it?
I mean, that's not even. What are we playing, like fantasy?
I'm just asking you.
Here?
I'm just asking you. I know you have feelings for Russell Wilson.
I would have taken Russell Wilson back then.
Yeah.
I wanted him back then.
14 draft picks. You doing it?
I don't know. I mean, that is
your head's shaking no, but I see the heart. The heart wants what the heart wants.
Well, let's talk about what we could do. What could happen?
I want an answer.
See, you won't trade 3 number ones for Joe Burrow.
I will trade 3 number ones.
Oh, you will? Okay.
I will. I've always said I've made that happen.
What about in one next year?
If that's your guy, let's do it.
I'm with you. Let's do something.
Let's shake something. All right. On March 16th, teams can begin legally tampering, as if they haven't been doing it for the last 2 weeks, which means making formal offers to free agents. And it's true, until an agent gets the contract over whatever, PDF, because they don't use fax machines anymore. An agent doesn't take your fake hypothetical numbers seriously. When he has a contract, it's when it's legal. So, free agency begins on March 16th. That is it Monday?
It's Monday.
Monday, yeah. If they get a new CBA deal, which is a whole lot of different situation. On March 18th is when you can officially sign these league deals. We are at the early stages for the Dolphins. They've got plenty of money to spend, $100 million right now. They got 14 draft picks. It's an interesting blend of what positions you're going to draft, use draft picks for, what positions you're going to use your money for. The Dolphins have a ton of needs on this roster, which was gutted last year.
Everything.
How are you rebuilding this, Dave?
Well, here's the first question you have to do. Brian Flores, Steve Ross, Chris Greer, they have to sit down and decide what's the goal this year. And that's what we know. We found out what the goal was last year. So are they going to say this is going to be a long? Are we trying to win this year?
No.
Are we trying to win this year?
No, they are not.
Well, that changes. Then that plays into your theory. But
they are building and building slowly.
Well, then you're not going to be going out and trying to get a pass rusher, a premier pass rusher.
I mean, that's one of the pieces that you need to build. Here's my approach for how I would conduct myself in free agency. There are certain blue chip players in free agency. Yes, a lot of people are going to raise to blue chip prices, like Juwan Howard, who raised to a blue chip price. Doesn't necessarily mean he's a blue chip player. If a player like a Matt Judon or a Yannick Ngakoue, I don't know how to say his name, or Eric Armstead hit free agency.
Or Chris Jones, the tackle from Kansas City.
Okay.
25-year-old. All those guys, except for Judon, who's I believe 28, are 26 and below. They fit into what the Dolphins need.
Or an Amari Cooper.
No.
Hear me out, Dave.
Okay.
Hear me out.
No.
If a blue chip talent hits free agency unrestricted, I'm going to give him a contract at average. I'm going to offer a contract that makes him puts him up there in the top 5 salary range. That includes Amari Cooper, because Amari Cooper is a blue chip talent. He's a blue chip wide receiver.
A lot of receivers.
Who cares?
In this draft.
Who cares? Oh, you're right. You're right.
I
That's
mean,
that's the deepest position.
I'm not going
but
with the guy
are they
who-
blue chip talents?
You have to trust that you look. Here's the thing: if you're a good organization, you have to
Are
trust.
they a good organization? Go ahead. Continue. Go ahead.
You have to trust you're going to be able to find an Amari Cooper somewhere, rather than going out and paying him. Because there are several Amari Coopers in the league now. As far as elite pass rushers, you mentioned, there's only a few that you have a chance at.
Yeah. Matt Judon, Leonard Williams. I am interested in seeing who doesn't get the franchise tag. It's a lot better and easier to project what's going to happen and who's going to be bidding big when you know who doesn't get the franchise tag. I don't support trading for a player who has a franchise tag. So if Jacksonville puts it on Yannick, bye-bye. I'll see you next round next year.
He'd be one I would really think about it. An elite pass rusher who's 24 years old.
Most people didn't even know his name till this year, even though the
Doesn't
production has been
matter.
high.
There he is.
the
There he
production's been high.
is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a Jadeveon Clowney guy. I know.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he's really moved up.
Yeah.
He's really changed. A year ago, I'm with you. You know, I'm not trusting the guy in his contract year who all of a sudden everybody starts to love.
He didn't even have that great of a season, to be honest with you. I would rather have an Eric Armstead or Leonard
Yes.
Williams. Here's my vision, and I know you want the pass rusher.
Well, let's prioritize this, okay? What's the after quarterback? What's the biggest need?
Offensive tackle. You can't do anything on offense until you get protection. You can't run the ball. They need a running back. They need an offensive tackle, pass rusher, running back, and I'll throw an offensive guard. And most importantly,
The cupboard is so bare.
An edge setter.
The cupboard is so bare.
I will put edge setter at the number 1 priority position.
Edge setter. You know what? I'll put, since they had no pass rush and they have nobody on the roster who can rush the passer, I put that as the number 1 priority. But I'm not going to argue with you. They need 2 tackles. They need interior linemen. They need a defensive tackle. What we're saying is they need an elite lineman on either side of the ball right now.
They need playmakers, and therefore they need impact players. Therefore, my theory is whoever hits the market, if you have him as a blue chip player, Amari Cooper, the Anthony Harrises, the Logan Ryan, if you have him as a blue chip player, make the offer.
See, I think they'll have a chance at a guy like Kyle Van Noy out of New England. Okay.
I don't want him.
You don't want him?
I don't want him.
What do you mean? He's
No,
a
I
great,
don't want
he's a
him.
great
No.
player.
No, he's not. He's
Yes,
an
he
average
is.
player. No, he's not. No, he's not.
He's a great player
He's
on
not
the
an
number 1
impact-
defense.
He's not an impactful player.
Oh, sure he was.
You know he was not.
He does-
He was a
he
very
does
versatile.
both.
He was the Eric Rowe of their defense. There's nothing special about him. Nothing. Not special pass rushing, not special edge setting, not special in coverage.
Well, you know
he's
what?
just
You know what? He's
versatile.
special. He's special in this defense, and he showed you in New England when he ran that defense, which is similar to this defense, how special he is. So
Not buying it.
he's a realistic option. I mean,
Yeah,
the other
because you-
guys we're talking fantasy options. The Yannick, the
I
Chris
want
Jones.
impact players. He's not an impact player.
He's an impact player.
No, he's not. He's
Okay.
not an impact player.
Well,
he's a
we'll disagree on
versatile player. There is a difference between versatile and impactful. Impactful players for the Dolphins the past couple of years. Cam Wake.
Did you see
Rashad Jones.
Did you see him in the Super Bowl 2 years ago? He was impactful in the Super Bowl. Did you see him in all the
Great
playoff
game
runs?
plan. He is not
I'm not saying he's
impactful.
okay.
He's okay. He's
I would
versatile.
definitely sign him
To what?
to a free agent contract.
$10 million a year?
Oh, you're not going to get him for $10 million a year.
Well, you're
Omar.
not. He's not a $10 million a year player, in my opinion.
we'll
Somebody will pay him
We'll come
$10
back to
million.
the next
and then
show.
we'll be
come
back.
back to the next show.
And we'll be back here 2 years from now when the team is releasing him because they overpaid for
And
him.
because he didn't fit their defense. He's got to fit their. He's a guy who's got to fit your defense.
So what, fits 5 defenses?
All right, Omar. 72 Silky asks, would you give Melvin Gordon a contract similar to what his teammate Austin Eckler got? Eckler got 4-year extension worth $24.5 million, which paid him $15 million guaranteed money. Keep in mind, he is slated to become a restricted veteran. That deal breaks down to roughly $6.1 million a season.
Would I give a running back
We're going to
six?
disagree with this, I know.
Hold on, hey, I didn't give my answer. How does he know we're going to disagree? Would I give a running back $6 million a year?
Would you give Melvin Gordon
$6 million a year?
Yeah, he's probably the
Yeah, I give him 8. Like 8, 2 seasons, it breaks down 16 million guaranteed. Who cares if he's useful after that? Yeah, I understand. Running backs don't last long. They're like tires. They give it a good 3-year run. Melvin Gordon has been an elite player in this league. Now,
elite.
yeah, he's been
Elite. He's been a good player. Elite running back. There's probably been 3 or 4.
You just named the guy who's average and claim you want to play.
What's his per yard rush average? 4 yards a carry. 4 yards a carry. And twice, but he's a receiver.
Exactly, he's a receiver.
He
He can block.
Wait a second. He has 2 seasons where he's caught over 50 passes. Okay, that's nice. I
it's nice.
agree. But I can find that guy. If I
You
trust
can.
myself.
You can.
Look what Buffalo had no running backs last year.
Oh, my God, don't do this.
What?
Go ahead.
What?
I saw you make that argument. Go ahead.
What?
Continue. Go ahead.
Where did they find their running back, Omar?
In the, what, fifth
round.
Okay.
Devin Singletary. Trust yourself. You can find a running back.
They also had Frank Gore, who carried the load for him most of the season. If you want to add a 35-year-old back, yeah, cool, that's great. And Frank, by the way, would love to come back home. He's asked me, hey, bring me home. I'm doing my part, Frank. Come on home. Chris Greer, who banished him last year, Frank wants to end his career here. It is
Here's
what
the
it is.
point. Who are the Super Bowl running backs, Omar?
I don't bring
Damian Williams. Right?
I'm not
You
disagreeing.
can find these guys.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I would love for the Dolphins to go out and sign a Jordan Howard. A young, proven, established back, had a bad season because of injury. And yes, we know running backs fall apart. But
you need a couple guys. I'm not disagreeing.
You need
with
a veteran.
cheaper one. But if you're saying $8 million, I
would do it.
Like, no,
I would do it.
I can do better. I can do better.
Oh, you can do better.
I can do equal for cheaper.
Okay, I do agree with you. I could sign 2 backs for what it was going to cost Melvin Gordon. But I think Jordan Howard and Lamar Miller. I don't want everybody to overlook Lamar Miller.
I agree.
He's coming back from an ACL injury. Obviously, he's not going to be super expensive. Lamar would love to come home, but he'd obviously love to stay in Houston. He's excited about what they're building. That's a talented player. Carlos Hyde took his place, ran for 1,000 yards for the first time. You can get a good couple of years out of these backs.
I could get a good couple lines out of his last name, too. That'd be perfect.
Listen, I think it's important for the Dolphins to add a veteran and go draft one early.
I'm with you, Omar. We agree on that.
Would you spend a first-round pick on one?
No.
But what about if you wanted the best one?
Not on a roster where you need everything.
Yeah, that's
I'm not.
true.
It depends on the team, but the situation.
But what's supposed to love one? What's supposed to love the Georgia kid Swift? And you know he's not going to be there in the second round where you pick him. Would you take him at 26?
It looks. You know what? Depends on your options at that point. Okay, it depends on your options.
Depends on what you did in free agency
Yeah,
too.
right. So we'll have to see. But in general, I'm saying no to the first round pick. Okay, John asks, what free agent would you not mind overpaying to make a difference in this team?
To me, it all comes down to who doesn't get tagged. Whether it's Matt Judon or Leonard Williams or Chris Jones, I think all 3 of those guys are going to be tagged. Yannick, I think he's going to be tagged. And I mentioned again Amari Cooper. No tag because Dallas is in a difficult situation. I'm shooting my shot at the elite talent who aren't tagged, Dave.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is Amari Cooper elite talent? Here, I keep hearing Dallas has all this elite talent.
Are we going to do this Dallas slander again?
I love this.
All right, fine.
I wouldn't give Dak Prescott that contract.
You wouldn't give him the contract?
I
Why?
wouldn't.
Dak is a top 10 quarterback in this league.
What do top 10 quarterbacks do? And I'm not disagreeing top 10. We're talking top 5.
I mean,
what do they do?
He's won.
What's he won?
You always want to go to the final game.
No, I don't. I'll go to the second round of the playoffs.
All right. All right.
He hasn't been there.
Listen, I like Dallas. I like what they've built. It's going to be hard for them. And even Jason Lockenford came out with a very good column pointing out, hey, Dallas supposedly has all this talent and they sign all these big contracts. They've spent the least amount of money in real cash.
Here's the question. Now, here's the question.
The
guy who never gets mentioned. If I was Jerry Jones, who likes splashes,
yeah,
I'd go buy Tom Brady. Put him in that. I'd say we got 2 years, and you put him in that offense and that defense, you have a Super Bowl team right there. And I'm surprised that hasn't been a conversation. And I'm hoping it's in the back channels. That would be the one team.
If it is in the conversation, and I don't think that it is, would you be interested in Dak Prescott?
Sure, yeah.
First round pick for Dak Prescott?
Not for $35 million.
But I mean, it's 33 to 35. He's going to have to be the highest paid quarterback. That's the way the system works.
Why?
Because that's the way the system works, Dave. Next guy up gets
Wait,
raises
there's
the bar.
9 quarterbacks on the market, and you're saying, oh, Dak, is he the best one?
Why did Kirk Cousins get $32 million guaranteed?
I don't know.
Because
I don't know about that either.
I like Kirk Cousins. Now, no disrespect to Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins has a brilliant deal, and I commend him for being the first player in NFL history to get in free agency a fully guaranteed complete contract. Okay. Danny Leon has a good one. Do you expect Miami to go after any of the premium free agents like Dallas's Byron Jones?
Well, this is where we get into, to me, and he's not a premium free agent.
He's not. I agree with you.
He doesn't. What do premium free agents do at cornerback? They intercept the ball. They make game-changing plays.
Okay.
He has none.
All right.
He has none.
Great athleticism, though. Very versatile player.
I want him on my team, but if you're talking, paying a huge price for him,
So you're saying if they're a top 5 player at their position, you'd say go for it. Shoot your shot.
Yeah. Yes. The Dolphins need to upgrade talent wherever they can get it.
Brandon Scherf.
No, because he's hurt. He's hurt.
Jack Conklin.
You're going to have to overpay
$60
for
million.
him. You're going to have to really pay for him.
For a right tackle,
but I get that. I get that. But you got all this money. You got to do something with it.
I mean, yeah, but you don't have to spend like that. Chris Greer has flat out told
contracts.
me. Yeah, Chris Greer has flat out told me, I would rather spend this. If I've got $60 million to spend, I would rather buy 2 $8 million players than go sign.
Well, that's the Patriot way. You look at how the Patriots have won in free agency. They sign for the most part. Mm-hmm. There's always the exception. Stephon Gilmore. Exception.
No. Here's their exceptions, and look at the history of it. When they can weaken a division rival, they do. And I think that that's a great strategy. And it piggybacks on our next question, which comes from James Prine. With free agency looming, what players do you believe the Dolphins will go after? And I think they will go after Joe Thuney. And here's why I think they'll go after Joe Thuney. He's a durable veteran, and he weakens the Patriots.
Well, he's going to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So they're going to be weakened. Well, they're going to be weakened. Okay. You don't need to get them. They're going to be weakened. Here's the question: he plays left guard. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Don't ask me what am I doing with.
I am going to ask you.
Okay.
Because just 5 minutes ago you said we're going to go young. We're not going to build.
Yeah,
we're going to believe in the young guys, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so now you have your Michael Dieter, who's whatever he is, he's going to be there next year.
Disappointment? Go ahead.
It could be, but you remember you were saying this about Mike Gesicki.
Hey, Mike Gesicki, he's still not a tight end.
No, I agree, but they were used. But let's get back.
They evolved how they used
Dieter.
him.
Let's get back to Dieter. We will find out truly what he is this year.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you going to give up on a 3rd round pick?
I'm not giving up. I'm adding
competition.
competition.
Move him to right field?
I'm adding a veteran.
Well, no, you're not. You're not adding competition. You're adding a guy who's going to take his job.
There's still 4 other jobs. He's played every position at University of Wisconsin. Go play some other position. Win the right guard spot.
This is where
play center.
This is where I go to get 2 guys for the price you can get Joe Thuney. Because Joe Thuney is going to be a premier. There's other. Detroit has a guard out there. Glasgow. Denver has a center out there.
Yeah,
I mean, you can.
So you want a bargain shop?
I want to get good players. Those are good players.
I want to weaken
durable players.
I want to weaken
They're
the
going
division.
to be weak. They're going to be weakened. Joe Thuney's not going to be back to New
There's
England.
no reason you shouldn't be bidding on Joe Thuney because you know what? You raise the stakes on the Patriots, and if you're the highest bidder, okay, you get a good player. A durable player.
Well, he's not going to be back to the Patriots.
Well, we don't know that.
You pretty much know that.
Yeah, well. Mike
Zwillig wants to know, what are your thoughts on the defensive line? I feel we need 2 starting defensive ends and or a defensive tackle.
I don't disagree with you, Mike. I have, and this, understand, this is the main problem that most Dolphins people and officials have with me. I think the defensive line was trash last year, straight trash. I think they weren't good, couldn't pass rush, couldn't stop the run, couldn't set the edge, couldn't keep linebackers clean. I need a whole new defensive line. And I'm not saying that Christian Wilkins or Davin Godchild can't be contributors in it. I'm not saying that Taco Charlton cannot have a role in it, but I need better players because there was nothing there to work with.
And you could go to the offensive line.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
I need 4 new.
Yep.
They for all this talk, we're going to build the trench. Nothing was built. So you're saying 2? I'm not disagreeing.
Preaching to the
3,
choir.
4, 5.
Yeah.
I mean, we can spend our whole draft on that.
I am walking out of free agency, and this goes to my final question. Wrap up with bold predictions. My bold prediction is the Dolphins need to walk out of free agency with 3 new offensive linemen and 3 new defensive linemen. 3 new players that play in the trench, 6 new players that play in the trenches. Because if you do not add, and I'm not talking about just the fill-in guys you signed for $3 million. No, I'm talking about players who are making more than the NFL, $4.25 million. You need to add starting caliber players because you are trash in the trenches. And if you do not get better in the trenches, you will not be good.
I'm agreeing with you. For so much, we all talk about the bright, shiny objects. Mm-hmm. You need the big uglies.
You got your butt whooped in the trenches last year. To an embarrassing rushing total. You can say whatever you want about the running backs, but I'm sorry, they had no line to work with. Quarterback was under pressure all day long, couldn't stop the run. Damn sure wasn't pressuring anybody in the NFL. Nobody felt pressure. Cornerbacks had to cover all day. This is at the core of your problem. If you do not fix it, your team is forever going to have cancer.
Yeah, and can they? The question is at what expense, and can they find those guys in free agency? That's to me is the interesting part.
Commit $40 million of real money. When I say real money, I mean cash. This is guaranteed money. This is signing bonus money. This is money that players will actually get. Commit $40 million to 6 players.
And let's go to the draft too. Commit half the draft to that.
I'm game.
Because that half, I think if you go to the last 4 years, they've taken 8 linemen in 4 years. I mean, they are so. You want to know why they're in the situation they are on the lines? The draft, they've struck out. They haven't even
first round picks in the last 2 decades. The only time they ever surefire hit on first round picks, offensive linemen. It's sad, disappointing, but it's the truth. It's heartbreaking, but it's the truth.
I feel like we've been doing the draft bus every year.
Like, you want to know when they hit? I'm not saying like it'll do like a Ryan Tannehill. No, a hit was an offensive lineman. Jake Long, Mike Pouncey, Jawan James, Laramie Tunsil. Those were their hits. Vernon Carey. Those were their hits. And you know what positions they played? Offensive line.
So take a bunch of offensive linemen. Keep drafting offensive linemen.
If the Dolphins use their
what else? You know what else Chris Greer is good at? Is running backs. He found Damian Williams off the scrap heap. Lamar Miller's a very good 3rd round pick. Was it fourth round pick? They found running backs.
And I believe that they can. You know, I've talked about this all last season, and mainly because I didn't get the opportunity to see it. Like, I talked to you on this show about how popular Marvin Allen is. Like, everybody loves Marvin Allen. There should be like a show. Everybody loves Raymond. Everybody loves Marvin Allen. And I've watched him work and operate at the Senior Bowl and at the Combine. Man, that guy's popular.
Can he pick a quarterback? Can he get a quarterback?
I don't know if he can pick a quarterback, but I know the other pieces. Everybody wants to be around him. Everybody wants to talk to him. Everybody wants to get information from him. And that guy, to me, he's the top college. He's said to be the top college evaluator. He's on your staff, so that gives me hope.
Good. Chris Greer has built he really upgraded the people around him.
Yes, he did.
As far as Marvin Allen, Reggie McKenzie,
yes.
And it was going to be Jim Caldwell for until things didn't work out. But anyways, so here we go.
What's your bold prediction?
My bold prediction? Well, I mentioned it earlier, and I don't think they're going to do it. But if they've got really bold, Trent Williams would be a very bold move.
What do you give up for him?
Well, there's the question. I would give up a 2nd round pick for 5 years. I mean, you obviously have to do your homework.
I'm giving you a 2021 2nd round pick.
Okay, whatever.
You take that?
No, not if you're Washington, probably, because you can get better. You can get better now. So you have a lot of draft picks you're not going to use. You're flooded with draft picks. okay, use some of that capital.
Okay. Well, thank you for watching X's and Omar. We will be back after the first week of free agency. Once the movements and the pieces are added, we will come back to dissect it. And we'll also be doing a couple of draft shows, a pre-draft show and a post-draft show. So thank you for watching, and see you soon.